Today, we're going to be ranking how good I think each of the new Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Legends EA will be in competitive Pokemon. Now guys, this is just a spoiler warning. At the time of recording this video, we have only had the Datamine. Not everything is officially revealed, so that is why we are zoomed in here. If you do not want to be spoiled by some of the new Pokemon getting Megas or the stats they get, make sure you click off the video now. 3, 2, 1... There's your spoiler warning. We're going to zoom out a little bit here. These are the mons. I'm going to zoom in a bit more there just so we got it. So essentially, guys, today, the plan is to rank how good I think each of these will be, right? We do have a little spreadsheet over here that does have basically all of the new Megas, their base stats, all that good stuff, right? Of course, this is Legends EA. These Pokemon do not have abilities. So this is going to be ranking them with, I guess, out the abilities. But again, also as well, I think worth adding, I am a VGC player. I play doubles. That is primarily where I play. Of course, I have played a bit of singles in the past. And over the next couple of months, we are probably going to be playing ranked battles in Legends EA with these Pokemon. So just something I wanted to throw out there, of course, you know, depending on whether you're a VG player, a singles player, or even potentially a ZA player, these rankings could slightly differ. I will do my best to kind of touch on how good I think they will be in each of the formats, but I also don't want to sit here talking about each Pokemon for 10 minutes. So without further ado, let's jump into it, and we'll start with Mega Barbaracle. Also, one thing, I guess, as well, before we quickly do start this, I will be ranking this off of how good I think they are just in general. Of course, one thing as well that comes to Pokemon is it's very format dependent. Of course, if you're a singles player, OU, Ubers, stuff like that. If you're in VGC, you know, there's regional decks, Nat decks, all that kind of stuff. So I did want to throw that out there. So I'm just going to rank them in general. That's why I'll have some probably a bit higher than others. But Mega Barbaracle, Barb is a really, really interesting mon. If we take a look at Barbaracle, one really big thing it has going for it is that it has, you know, a relatively okay stat spread, right? If you have a look at Mega Barb here, sorry, I just realized we probably should have done this in order rather than scrolling through, but it's okay. It's okay. Barb's near the bottom, isn't it? Yeah, here he is here. So Mega Barb, as we can see here, gets up to 140 attack, which is very good, 130 defense, which is also really solid, 106 special defense, which is solid, and goes up to 88 speed, which again, very, very solid, right? And when we take a look at this, like, what is a mon that has like 88 speed? God, this is going to be a massive pain in the ass, isn't it? Actually, it's not too bad on this. So 88 speed. If we have a look at the 88 speeds here, let's go bang, dub wall, right? So if we go dub wall, I'm going to put it to level 50 because that's how I personally play the game. But at this level here, essentially this is enough speed to outspeed almost anything at +2. And the reason that's important is because Barbaracle is a shell smash mon, right? Having shell smash is incredibly good, right? It raises all of your, you know, your speed and your 2 offensive stats by +2, which again is kind of crazy. And depending on the metagame, all you realistically need is this. This here will allow you to outspeed things like a Calyrex Shadow at max speed. So ideally, you know, this mon doesn't have to go any more than this, which definitely allows it, you know, so if you have a look at that again, you're like 28 here. You could definitely just go pump into HP and attack on a Pokemon like this. So very, very cool. I think that's very good. Again, Shell Smash is really solid. We also got in this leak as well, this obviously it's a rock fighting type, and it also got access to close combat. So between Shell Smash, 140 attack, close combat, and I don't think it has an amazing rock type move. That's like the one thing I think it has going against it. If we have a look, I mean, it does get Rock Slide, which is obviously not too bad, but I don't think it gets like anything that buffs like Tough Claws. Yeah, I don't think Stone Edge or Rock Slide are buffed by Tough Claws. I could be wrong on that. Accelerock would also be cool, but I could definitely see a world where there's things like Rock Slide, Cell Smash, and just like close combat. And it could just be an absolute beast, right? I think this mon has the potential to be very good. I do think it's better in singles than in doubles. For now, I'm going to just leave it in the B tier for a bit, and we'll kind of see how the rest of this list, I think, plays out. I definitely could see it moving up to A. Stats-wise, its bulk's really good. Its attack's kind of insane. Of course, it is going to be ability dependent. In ZA, I do worry that it may not have spread moves, because I do think spread moves are going to be very important, just from what we've seen in the trailers. Like, you see moves like Hyper Beam, Draco Meteor, stuff like that be insane, where close combat is obviously going to be a lot of damage. I just don't know how good it's going to be. And on top of that as well, because it changes its type, because like we know the Mega doesn't last the whole battle, so to be going in and out of, I guess it's like regular form and its Mega form, you may want like a water move in there. But yeah, in terms of like just in general and really VGC, I'm going to put it in the B tier. I think if this thing can safely set up a Shell Smash, I think it's going to be a beast. So moving on to Mega Chandelure, this mon actually really, really exciting, because if you have a look at this, 175 special attack. Now, the reason that is so important is because we have a look at this here. Bada bing, bada boom. Mega Alakazam is the 5th strongest Pokemon in the game in terms of special attack, and it basically ties with it. And if you have a look at the company, it has here Primal Kyogre, Deoxys Attack, Mega Ray, and Mega Mewtwo Y. That is an absurd special attack stat. 110 in both defenses is also like really insane, and Shandy also going up to 90 speed, like that plus 10 there is also really cool. Because the thing with like a base 90 speed Monride is, do we have any like here? It's probably not going to be. It's not going to be fun for me, is it? Yeah, I'm gonna have to scroll again. Base 90 is like really good because it's like, again, I guess Dialga is like a perfect example, right? Because this is a mon that it doesn't need a crazy amount of investment to hit the speed tier you want, right? Going back to what we said about Barb, you know, in like a restricted metagame with Tailwind, this is kind of all you need. And it is a really good mode to be, a good speed tier to be in for like some Tail Room teams, right? Because it allows you to invest in bulk, right? And when you look at a mon like Chandelure, its HP stat is like pretty poor, right? Like at max HP, you know, it gets like okay, but like 167 isn't all that. But again, if all you need to do is invest like 12 into your speed, and then you can go like something like this and then just like play modest, like just basically dump. You can split into the defenses if you want, but it allows you just to play super duper offensive. It doesn't have access to Nasty Plot, which is kind of sad, but of course, like Heatwave plus Shadow Ball is like really good. And I think a big thing for Shandy as well is going to be its ability. So there is a lot of speculation that this mon will get Shadow Tag because that's what it was originally meant to get back in Gen 5. Honestly, I'm not too sure about that. But regardless, I think this thing's going to be a beast. Its stats are kind of insane. Defensively, it's really good. Like, again, HP stats kind of subpar, but that special attack stats, like, insane. And the speed stats really nice. Like, 90 by no means is anything crazy, but it does allow you to just outspeed things that, like, you know, even if you have a look at this, right, like, Modest 252 hits 142. That's, like, really good, right? Like, that's a really solid speed stat. If you were to go something like Timid, you hit 156, which, again, really solid. Allows you to outspeed, like, base 100s if they go with a attack boosting nature rather than a speed boosting nature. I'm almost wanting to say this thing's going to be A tier. Like, again, I think it's going to be really format dependent. It's probably going to be really hard to play this in a format where, like, Fluttermane is legal or potentially even, like, Urshifu. But, like, in formats where, like, you know, something like Charizard Y could potentially be running around, I could see this being, like, a really cool hybrid Trick Room mon, especially, too, because it does actually have access to Trick Room, right? So you can play it as, like, a Tail Room mon, right, where, you know, maybe you have something like potentially, like, a Whimsicott or a Talon, probably not Talonflame because they share typing, but you know what I mean? You have something that sets up that priority Tailwind. And then, you know, if you're like, hey, you know, this team just outspeeds mine even with Tailwind, and that's all right. My Mega Shandy, he can set up Trick Room, you know. Flash Fire is also a really cool ability, and so is Flame Body as well for when you're in base form. Probably not ideal because, like, you know, you don't really want to be taking I guess like physical attacks on Shandy. Like it isn't the bulkiest one in the world. But in saying that as well, I'd be really curious to see how Flash Fire interacted with Mega actually. Like if something activated your Flash Fire and then you Mega'd, like, do you keep that boost? Like that would actually be kind of crazy. But yeah, for now, I think Shandy will go in the A tier. So next up, Mega Chesnaught. I am not going to lie. I think this is one of the scariest mons out of this list. So big thing here, as we can see, plus 30 attack, plus 50 defense, I believe, plus 40 special defense, minus 20 to the speed. This thing got absolutely min-maxed out the arse, right? Of course, again, ability is going to play a huge role in this, but when you have a look at potential sets this thing can run, right? So it gets Iron Defense, Body Press, right? Which, again, really, really good, especially when you have a stat this absurd. 172 is, like, it's crazy, right? If we have a look at, like, defensive stats, like, what does 172 hit here? That's, like, let's just look at Bastiodon, right? Like, so it's pretty similar, right? Uninvested, you hit like 188. If you just go like, let's just go Impish. Dude, like this, imagine this, 242, 242, and then you Iron Defense, you put that up to like, what would that be, 484, and then you start clicking stab body presses, like that's absolutely absurd, right? This could be insane. It also gets access to Leech Seed as well, which on a mon that bulky, crazy, right? Again, like if you have Redirection, Fake Out support, you can get some Leech Seed, get some healing back. It's going to be insane. It also gets access to Swords Dance, right? So you get like Swords Dance, Drain Punch stuff, right? I mean, on Swords Dance, you may even want to run like CC or something like that. But you also get access to Belly Drum as well. And we have seen in the past, like Belly Drum, Grassy Glide stuff be like really, really good. One thing I will say that is a little sad about its minus speed is it kind of can't abuse Trailblaze anymore, because like that was one other thing I was thinking where you can go like Trailblaze, like Drain Punch, Swords Dance, and then Spiky Shield. And that's another thing as well about the Iron Defense set as well. Like Spiky Shield's just like so good. But yeah, like at this speed, like yeah, Chesnaught, like it's not winning like any awards for its speed stat, right? But it wouldn't take I guess it does actually take a little bit of investment, but you know, if you can like SD get up 2 Trailblazers, then all of a sudden this mod, like, it hits really hard, especially with 137 attack. And again, it just allows you, with those defenses being so crazy, you can invest into that HP stat, invest into the attack stat, and just kind of go sicko mode. But yeah, I actually think Mega Chesnaught, this is probably an S tier mon. This thing, it seems crazy. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see how metagames play out. Like, Delphox has a pretty favorable matchup into it. But again, I think Delphox isn't as easy to slap onto teams as Chesnaught might be. Its speed stat also for Trick Room is kind of insane. I didn't talk about that, but 44, like, you look at any good Trick Room sweeper we've had for, like, the entirety of, Scarlet and Violet, like, of course, Torkoal and Hat are like the 2 that come to mind that both beat it. But like anything else, right? You got Glacier, you underspeed it, right? You've also got the Ursalunas, right? You underspeed regular Ursaluna, you underspeed Blood Moon Ursaluna, you underspeed Iron Hands. Like, there's a lot of these mons, and all of which, by the way, you're also really good into all of them, right? You know, Ursaluna, obviously, you can be slower than an Iron Defense. Same with Cali. You've also got Wide Guard as well. Like, depending on the metagame, like Wide Guard is like also like a really cool tech as well. Like, just absolutely nuke the Cali. So, yeah, I think this mon, I think it's gonna be incredible. I think it's gonna be incredible. So Mega Clef are definitely one of the interesting mons to be revealed, right? So Mega Clef does get a new flying, the new typing being a fairy flying type now. It also did get access to Air Slash. Stats wise, I think it's pretty good. The plus 10 to attack does kind of suck for it, but it gets plus 20 to its defense, plus 40 to special attack, plus 30 to the special defense, and plus 10 to the speed. That plus 10 to the speed is actually pretty important because there are a lot of slower mons like Incineroar that do hover around that base 60. So just going straight to base 70 means like they have to invest to outspeed you, and like, let's be honest, they don't really want to do that, right? But Mega Clef, I kind of see this mon going one of 2 ways, right? Of course, you've got Moonblast. You're probably going to like throw Air Slash on there now as well, which is a new move just because it doesn't say there. And then you're probably going to be like kind of like Ogerpon in a sense where you're like, you know, pseudo offense / support where it's like, yes, I have Follow Me, but I can also nuke. You know, you're essentially Togekiss with this set. But you also have access to things like Calm Mind as well. So I assume to see like, I would expect to see one of these 2 moves paired up with Protect and then just like double stab. In terms of the ability, this could definitely carry it, right? I think its base abilities are really good. I've seen people throwing out like Aerialate as an option, which means, you know, you could run things like Hyper Voice with Aerialate, which would be really cool. I was thinking even Serene Grace as well could be sick because like Air Slash has a 30% chance to flinch and Moonblast has a 30% chance to drop the special attack. So with Serene Grace, this thing could have a 60% chance to do either, which is like kind of cracked. And overall, I think it's just going to be a really decent mon. I'm going to probably just put it in the B tier. I don't think it's like winning any awards, but again, it's all format dependent, right? In a lower power format, I could see this thing being a beast. Its bulk's really good, its special attack's really good, and its typing's insane. Like we saw how good Togekiss was in Sword and Shield. So, big Delphox. Not gonna lie, this is the mon I am probably the most excited for on this list. I think this is a huge glow up for Delphox. As we can see here, the attack and defense don't get touched. Why? It's because they just put it into the rest of the stats, man. We got 30 into the speed, 25 into the special defense, and I believe if I can math, that is 45 into the special attack, which is absurd. 159 hits the same special attack stat as Charizard. 134 is like insanely quick. Unfortunately, you know, we're going to see a lot of mons here, but if you have a look, there ain't that many mons that outspeed a base 134, and a lot of them, you got a bunch of restricted, you got a bunch of other megas. Like 134 puts you in a really good speed tier. You outspeed things like Mega Gengar. You are 1 point slower than Mega Lopunny, which does kind of suck. You're 1 point slower than Floodmane as well, but yeah, this is a very, very good speed tier to be in. Not to mention as well, it's a natural expanding force mon. Heatwave is also really, really good coming out of Delphox as well. So I think this mon is really, really well positioned to be really, really strong. I want to put it in the S tier. This might be me just overhyping it a little bit myself, but I think typing wise, it's fantastic. In terms of ability, Psychic Surge would be unreal. If this thing got Psychic Surge, definitely straight to the S tier. I have seen Levitate be thrown around a lot. The only issue with Levitate is it does basically just mean expanding force is bad on this mon, which is the only issue I have with it, which would, I guess, kind of force you to run other things. Does this thing get plot? I forget. Yeah, so it also gets plot too. Yes, I could see like some like plot, heat wave, expanding force, like set being like kind of crazy. And again, going back to like in ZA as well, like if heat wave is like AoE in ZA and you can go like plot into heat wave with that special attack stat, I think that's just absurd, man. So, Mega D-Knight, another fan favorite. I saw this thing's shiny yesterday. I absolutely love it to bits. It's unreal. In terms of stats, we do see it loses 10 attack, but gains 20 defense, 25 special defense, 45 speed, and 45 special attack and 20 speed. I actually think this thing is going to be kind of absurd. I know a lot of people think it's a nerf because it lost attack. I am personally really glad that they kind of made it go like a separate route to Salamence, because like I think a lot of people were like, oh, it's just going to be like aerialate stuff, which like I think that would have been kind of cringe, right, if they just made it like Mega Salamence 2.0. But the thing with it getting that huge special attack buff is it does have access to Hurricane, right? Draco Meteor off a base 145 special attack, also absurd. Like this here, kind of crazy. And then the rest of it is just kind of like whatever, right? Like, you know, for example, when I think of Hurricane, I think of weather teams, right? You have access to Thunder. You also have access to Weather Ball, two moves that are really, really good, obviously in weather. But also too as well, I actually don't think that the physical attack set is dead on this mon. The big reason for that is its base format has both inner focus and multi-scale, both which are really good. I've been saying for a long time, I think Mega Knight paired up with Shed Tail could be broken in VGC. You know, you pass it a Shed Tail, it has multi-scale, you set up a D-Dance or two, and then you Mega and kind of run through crazy. But also as well, I think the 20 speed does not get spoken about enough. And the reason for that is, if you look at this speed stat here, this at +1 really doesn't outspeed any major threats we've had in like any metagame, right? This doesn't outspeed Dragapult at +1. You're definitely not getting close to things like Calyrex at +1. And even if you go a Jolly Nature at +1, you still aren't getting that Calyrex speed tier, which again, it feels weird talking about Cali just because it's like, you know, it's not a mon we see too often. We see it like once every, you know, 3 or 4 years. But I do think it is important to mention, right? Because there are metagames where, you know, not hitting 150 speed is like very, very important. But if we look at, you know, I'll use this this Salamence here because it's base 100, which is the new speed tier that D-Knight hits. If we go to the max here, we see that hits 152, which basically means that would allow D-Knight to play Adamant. So Adamant Mega D-Knight now is going to be better than Jolly D-Knight is now in terms of speed and attack, which is something worth mentioning, right? And because of that, again, it has DD, it still has all the powerful stuff like Outrage. It is going to come down to its ability. I can even see this thing being like a really good mixed attacker as well, where you're playing like, I don't want to say Adamant, but like, what would you even play? Probably like Naughty or something like that, where you go like Outrage plus Draco. I could see that being something. We also don't know if this thing's getting any like signature moves yet. Of course, like when Champions comes out, things can change. But I think Mega D-Knight's actually going to be good. I'm going to put it in the A tier. I think it's probably going to be better than Mega Shandy. Like at the end of the day, it's just a stat stick, right? 700 BST it's crazy. Let's be real. So next up is Dragalge. I'm not gonna lie, this mon a little underwhelming. I think it has a potentially cool niche on Trick Room, similar to what we said with Chesnaught. 44 speed is like really good as a Trick Room number. 65, 105, 163 is like kind of insane. Like bulk, like the 65 is kind of whatever, but on a stat spread like this, you're just gonna max HP anyway. And 132 special attack, it's definitely really solid, but I think it comes down to the ability, because like one of the big things you got to remember is like this thing at 132, like yeah, it's a good number, but you don't have an item where like things like Fluttermane, like yeah, sure, it's like 135, but in some metagames, Fluttermanes could run like choice specs, right? And then it's like all of a sudden it kind of just like makes it insane. I think if this thing keeps adaptability, which is what I really hope it keeps, I think it's gonna be good. As a Trick Room mon, it's definitely a cool option. I don't really have too much to say about it. I'm going to leave it in the C tier. I think its typing's pretty underwhelming. Like, yeah, you know, Dragon and Poison, they work pretty well together, but you can't really hit Steel types, which is like a big issue. I guess, does Dragalge get like, where are you, Dragalge? Do you get like Earth Power? You don't get Earth Power. Do you get like Flamethrower? Yeah, see, without like fire or ground coverage, you can't hit Steel types. So, like, I don't know, I'm just going to go C tier. All right, big Drampa. This is actually, again, one of the mons I would say I'm actually pretty excited for. Drampa gets a pretty good glow up here. Plus 25 into the attack stat does hurt it a bit, but in saying that, this is a Pokemon that doesn't want its speed stat to go any higher, so it's kind of like I'd prefer it in the attack than the speed. 78, 110, 116 defenses are really solid. Again, with the base 36 speed, this Pokemon typically wants to invest into max HP. And 160 special attack is absurd, right? If you can get this thing into Berserk range, right, because Drampa, its ability is still Berserk. If you can get this into Berserk range, get that +1 before you Mega, this thing could like be kind of crazy. I will say, do you get Earthquake? Do you get Flamethrower? Okay, it gets Flamethrower. It has a way to hit Steel types, boys. So yeah, I'm thinking like something like this, right, is just like probably half decent in Trick Room. You just like play some set like this. Again, you're probably not like, it's probably not going to be a top tier threat, but at 36 speed, it does underspeed basically, again, like every major Trick Room threat we've ever had. I would say its only issue again is probably going to be Hat. Hat underspeeding it does suck. But outside of Hat, you're kind of balling, right? You're a mon that doesn't really care about Torkoal. You resist its eruptions, any of its fire moves. You can deal big damage to it with Dracos, with Hyper Voices. I'm going to say Drampa's probably C tier. Again, like I think it's probably worse than Barbaracle, probably a little worse than Clef, but I definitely think it's better than Dragalge. All right, Big Drill. I'm not gonna lie, this is a mon that straight up is ability dependent in my opinion. Big Drill. Where are you, Big Drill? Look at this stat spread, right? It goes up to 165 attack, insane. 100 defense, very, very good. Like 110, 1 and 100, very bulky, right? 65 special attack, sorry, special defense, kind of whatever. It really hates that it gets that special attack, but it does go up to 103 speed, which is like a really, really pog number to be at, right? If you have a look at 103 speed, right? I think it's like, where are we? Yeah, bang, right here. This is like 1 point faster than Garchomp. That's like really cool as a ground type, right? Like Garchomp, for example, in the current metagame, it could be so cool, but it's like, it just isn't. And like being able to outspeed Chomp, I think is like really fun. Especially because you can go like Adamant and then like still outspeed a lot of things, which is like fun. I think this mon though, at the end of the day, it's all going to be ability dependent. Do you get Sand Rush again? If you get Sand Rush, I think you're going to be good. Do you get Sand Force? If so, maybe not as good. If you get something like Tough Claws, probably really good. And I actually think Tough Claws is the ability it's going to get. It has like a lot of really cool stuff it can do, right? Like when you look at Drill, of course, you know, you've got Sword Stance still, right? You've got Rapid Spin, so you've got ways to buff your attack, you got ways to buff your speed. Of course, you got Earthquake as well, depending on the metagame. If it does get high horsepower, Tough Claws, I'm pretty sure high horsepower is a contact move. Same with Iron Head. So this is a one that could be really sick. I also think it can close Team Sheet as well. Mega Drill plus Mega T-Tar on the same team is like super scary, especially if you get it in a format with Terra, because it's like, oh, you could have a Terra Flying T-Tar next to a Mega Drill. And if somehow, depending on abilities, that shit works out, that could be kind of crazy. But I think it's going to be really good. I'm going to say it's A tier. I think it's top of the A tier. All right, Mega Eel, not gonna lie, this is one of the mons I'm probably least excited for. I think Eel got kind of screwed over here because, like, one, it's a mixed attacker. It gets plus 30 to both offensive stats, which pretty bad. Like that, like 145, 135, don't get me wrong, is like crazy. But I think the big issue that it got is they actually buffed its speed. I think if Mega Eel had stayed 50 speed and they put that 30 into its bulk, kind of could be talking about something, but it's a pure electric type. I'm hoping they give it a better ability, like something like Earth Eater, I think would make a lot of sense. It's just better levitate at that point. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like Eel's not a mon I'm super excited to see what it can do. Like, yeah, like it's gonna be a nice mixed attacker. Like it probably has some like decent attacks. Like, what are you clicking here? Like CC's kind of funny. I mean, realistically, like Supercell Slam, I mean, like Thunder on like the right team, you got T-Bolt, get Wild Charge, I think it gets Discharge as well. Like, it's actually got some really good coverage, but like realistically, I think it's just gonna be bad. I don't see why you'd ever run this over something else. Mega Boar, this one is actually a pretty interesting one. I do think Mega Emboar, when we look at the stats here, gets a decent amount of attack, good bulk, like plus 10, plus, is that 45 to special defense? Actually nice. Plus 10 to the special attacks, kind of whatever. It does go up to 75 speed. I think if they'd put that 10 special attack into 10 speed, it would have been a lot better, because then it would have been base 180, would have been base 85, which is Rillaboom's stat. And then you could have like played some flame charge stuff, right? Because like if you have like a look at level 50 here, right? If you go Jolly, you hit 150, which basically means with a flame charge, you would hit the speed you need to outspeed everything in the metagame, outside of Regieleki, which is like really, really good. And like I'm sure in some metagames you could play like Adamant on a set like this, and like a 137 plus 1 could be really good. But look, I think it has potential. Its bulk is there. Its speed stats okay. Of course, it gets things like close combat, flare blitz, all that kind of stuff. I think its ability is really gonna carry it. If it gets a good ability, it could be fantastic. If it doesn't, I think it will be subpar. I don't think it's going to be good in singles. It's probably not going to be that great in ZA either. Only time will tell. I'm going to put it in the C tier, sadly. I think it has less use than these mons above it. Mega Falinks. Shout out to the homie Spring. I know he loves him some Falinks, but this mon, dude, I don't know how to feel about it. Where are you? The very bottom one. It gets some really interesting stats, right? So going up to 135 attack, 135 defense, very good. It gets plus 5 to the Spadef. I kind of wish that did go a little higher, like maybe take like 10 out of the defense or something and put it into the Spadef. But hitting 100 speed is really, really important. And it actually makes me think it maybe could be okay to pick on the metagame, because if we have a look at its beautiful move, No Retreat, raises all of your stats by 1, but traps you in. The reason that is good, again, we go back to our boy Mega Mence, right? Because you hit this speed stat of 152, you can play this thing Adamant, right? And again, actually, Salamence is the perfect guy to look at because it has the exact same stats of 135 and 100. So you can play a set like this, right? And gain an Omni boost, essentially. Why are you doing this? 31. So as we can see here, like at Adamant, you hit 205, right? So at +1, this thing actually has like Guts Ursaluna numbers. Like, of course, you don't have Facade, but you do, I believe, have close combat. All right, close combat. Yeah. What do you need? You need like knockoff or something. Oh, you can get knocked too. Yeah, like so, like something like this. What is it? Wait, what? Was it? Wasn't it last? No retreat. I'm typing in last respects. So something like this could be like kind of cool, where it's like, you know, you have this to hit the ghost. Oh, but then you don't have a way to hit fairies. Do you have like a what's like something that could hit fairies that also hits ghosts? Let's just have a look at some of its physical attacks. You got anything cool for me here, buddy? Maybe like a steel type move that's really good. First impression. Dude, this thing, it doesn't get the bug type, does it? That's such a throw. That should be fighting bug, man. Do you like get anything like cool here? Like not really. I guess like Iron Head or like P-Jab is like probably the way. But the steel type just, sorry, the ghost resists the P-Jab. Yeah, I'm not entirely too sure what the last move is, but like you need something to hit the ghosts and the fairies. But like, I mean, this stat here is like kind of crazy. Again, I don't know why this keeps dropping that down, but like this going up to like over 300, this going to over 200. And then like, again, you're talking about defensive stats. What are we? Like 135. Like, again, like 135 non-boosted would be like this. What's that? Like base 155. So that would go like to 200 and something. And then the SPDF like doesn't change. So again, like that would go up to like I don't know. I think Falinks, it goes up to like 120. Yeah, I think Falinks could actually be kind of okay. I'm gonna say BT. It's so hard, right? Because I don't think Falinks is gonna be a top tier mon. Actually, I'm gonna drop it down one. I don't think it's gonna be a top tier mon, but I think this mon is actually a lot easier to play around than this feels bad. I feel like I almost need one more tier because I feel like Falinks will be better than these two, but I think it's worse than these three. I'm gonna just put it at the top of the C tier for now. I actually think this mon like could have a cool niche. But again, it's gonna be very meta game dependent. And hopefully it gets a cool new ability as well, because like Defiant, well, actually Defiant base form also kind of pog too, actually. I don't know, maybe, nah, it's convinced me. I'm going to put it bottom of the B tier. I'm going to put it bottom B. That's Emboar. You got bottom B. So, Mega Floette. Unfortunately, we don't really have that much info on this mon. We do know it gets a new move, and we don't actually know what it does yet. But its stats are kind of absurd. It hits 651 stats, which is, again, kind of broken. 155 attack, 148 special defense, and 102 speed. 102 speed, again, very, very pog. And this thing with a timid nature outspeeds a lot of things. It's a very, very powerful fairy, and there is a good chance this thing can test Datamine for the best fairy type in the game. 74, 87, and 148 is just kind of absurd bulk, really. Again, I don't really know much to say, of course. Like, we don't really know what this thing's base form does. I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be A tier. I think it's going to be the strongest fairy, non-restricted in the game. I think Zygarde definitely has like a chance. Why does this keep popping up? It's actually doing my head in. How, like, what am I hovering over? I think I hover that. I think Zygarde has a chance to be better, but the fact that it's 2 speed points faster than Zygarde has kind of like really good special defense. Again, it comes down to like how good its ability is. Like, we don't know what its ability is going to be. Actually, if I type in like Eternal Floette, Eternal, they do have it here. Apparently it has Flower Veil. Okay, Flower Veil is pretty bad. If it gets a better ability though, I think this thing could be kind of cracked. But again, we'll have to wait and see. I'm gonna go A tier right now. Because again, I think it's probably gonna be the premier fairy. Probably contending with Zygarde, but we'll have to wait and see what its signature move does before we can really make that call. So Mega Froslass. This was a mon, I'm not gonna lie, that I kind of had low hopes for, but then someone like said something that I was like, damn, that actually is kind of crazy. And that's if this mon gets Snow Warning. I actually think it could be really sick. And I actually think Snow Warning does make a lot of sense now in hindsight. When we look at the stats though, plus 60 to the special attack, plus 30 to the special defense, and plus 10 to the speed. 120 is really solid, but it's nothing like super crazy in a mega meta game. 140 special attack obviously is very solid. And going back to like, again, the like being able to set up snow, why I think it's really important is Froslass, like, it really doesn't have that much it wants to click. Like, when you think about it, right? Like, obviously, you've got Shadow Ball as your primary stab. You don't get access to Nasty Plot. You get Calm Mind. You don't even get Calm Mind. So this thing doesn't really have a way to boost its special attack, which is kind of sad. Hopefully, like, they do fix that. And then if we have a look at, like, the Ice-type moves, right? It's Blizzard and Ice Beam, that's it. This thing doesn't have access to Freeze Dry. It does get Icy Wind, which I guess is kind of cool. But, like, really, like, this is probably the set you want to run. I think if this thing gets Snow Warning, it could be kind of cracked, because again, if you go back to this, right, 70 HP is not all that, but if you get a defense boost, like if you get the hail boost to this this low stat here where it's like 90, all of a sudden with the hail boost that goes up to like what, 135. All of a sudden 135 base defense is kind of crazy. Like, what does like Koraidon get? Do you get like 135 base defense? Bang, look at that, perfect. So like that's the equivalent of having 115 base. Like that's kind of cracked if that is the case. But obviously that is just entirely assuming it gets snow warning, which there's a great chance it doesn't. So I'm gonna say B tier. I think it's relatively quick. It hits really hard. It does have icy wind, which is definitely really good. Ghost ice is also not a bad offensive typing as well, which is pretty solid. Ice basically hits everything Ghost doesn't, and vice versa, right? Anything that resists the ice type, Ghost can hit for at least neutral damage. So definitely kind of solid. Then we have Mega Gator. I don't think this mon's gonna be bad, but I am just a little disappointed with the route in which they went. So if we have a look here, it goes up 55 attack, which is absurd. 160 attack is crazy. 125 defense, also really, really good. Putting 10 into special attacks, kind of whatever. They put 10 into the special defense, which is good, but the speed stat didn't change. To me, this was the stat I think Gator needed the most. Gator really wanted that plus 10 into speed at a absolute bare minimum. And again, the reason for it is, like, if you pull it up, right, if we go for Feraligatr, I feel like I've harped on about it a lot, but like when you have base 160 attack, you want to be adamant, right? But if you go adamant Dragon Dance, you're just not outspeeding that many things, especially as power creep continues to get higher, right? Like if you're in a metagame where like Sneasler is the best mon, and then this is fine, right? Because this outspeeds Jolly Sneasler by 1 point. But like realistically, if you want to play this in like any high power formats, you're like gonna have to play Jolly. And then even then, like 143 is the Dragapult tier, which is great. But like you're not hitting the Calyrex tier. You know, actually this does get Mega Greninja. This actually does get Mega Greninja at +1. But again, that's like assuming you're running D-Dance. Of course, this thing also did pick up a Dragon type as well. Definitely worth mentioning. I think that's really cool. It also got Outrage as well, which is kind of sick. So like I'm sure there's gonna be like some set like this where you can like play it. The only issue is I think its ability is gonna be Strong Jaw. And I don't think there's any dragon moves that get buffed by Strong Jaw, and I also don't think there's any water type moves that get buffed by Strong Jaw. So fingers crossed, rather than Strong Jaw. Also, I think you go Liquidation, right? Yeah. I hopefully it gets like Tough Claws. Like Tough Claws would be kind of sick with like a DD set. I think it's entirely dependent on what its ability is going to be. Water Dragon is really good, of course. Like as a defensive typing, it's really solid. I probably think like if I had to like tier this out, probably something like this. Like it's probably going to be like a mid B tier. Again, if it gets like a broken ability, like if it does get Tough Claws, like all of a sudden I think that kind of changes some calcs. One thing I've joked about a lot with some of the boys is if it gets Vicious Rend. If it gets Vicious Rend, I'm just gonna right there. Please get Vicious Rend. I love Dracovish as it is. If this thing could DD and then click a Vicious Rend, that would be kind of, I mean, it wouldn't be kind of absurd, it would be broken. But yeah, that's a lot of assumptions. I think it's going to be mid B tier, with the potential to rise up depending on what it gets. Now, Mega Gren gets this beautiful, oh my god, why they actually just uploaded that like now. Okay. That's kind of crazy. That wasn't there like 2 seconds ago, I don't think. That's fine. Mega Gren, where are you, Gren? Down here. So Mega Gren hits this beautiful 142 speed stat, speed tying with Polteezy, my guy, Dragapult. It gets a good buff into both of its offensive stats. It gets 30 into its attack, 30 into its speed, 10 each into each of its defenses, and special defense, and then 10 into its 20 into its speed. Very, very solid, right? And again, hitting that 142 speed tier is like really cool because again, one, it puts you in like the realm of like the fastest mons in the game, but it also puts you right here with the Dragapult, right? Meaning essentially this is going to be one of the fastest Pokemon in the game, right? When you have a look at it, Zeraora very likely is not legal in most of the formats, if any at all. Sceptile, of course, is a mon that is going to be competing with it, but not considered a great mega. Same goes for Beedrill. A Selgor, while it is very quick, it is not something that really threatens. I mean, yeah, it probably actually does. You probably run a bug move if Gren's going to be like really good. But again, you look through the list, like you're never worried about Electrode. Of course, Zacian is like a restricted. Again, you probably don't really care that much for Zam either. Like Zam's going to have to run like a fairy move to cover you. And yeah, most of these mons probably just aren't going to be legal, especially with how they kind of split things in Scarlet and Violet, and like they've made like the distinction between like legendaries and like non-legendaries now, like, you know, like the Urshis of the world and whatnot. So I think overall this mon's going to be pretty solid. It also just got access to both Swords Dance and Nasty Plot as well. Now, we don't know if it's going to carry that into Champions, but I am pretty comfortable saying it's going to be like a high to mid A tier. I think in ZA, it all depends, I guess, on like what moves it can get. From playing the demo myself, like again, I'm not entirely sure, but I think Dark Pulse might be an AoE move. And Surf also might be an AoE move. So because of that, I could definitely see a world where like Nasty Plot plus like Surf and Dark Pulse could be like absolutely absurd. But again, we're gonna have to wait and see how things go. Also, if it gets access to things like the old unnerfed protein as well, I think it could be sick. This mod also got like some really good like physical attacks as well. I think it just got Flip Turn. I think it also got like Liquidation. So like I think it has a chance to be a very good mixed attacker. All right, Megalucha, my guy. Thankfully, they actually didn't do this guy as bad as I think a lot of us thought they would. They kept its speed stat, which is like the most important. 118 is like really solid. It gets a huge buff into its speed. Defense is also really good. Good buff into its special defense as well. So this thing's bulk, 78, 193 is really solid. 137 is also a really good attack stat. And 118 is not too bad. I will say, though, the only issue is I think there is a legitimate argument that regular Unburdened Hawlucha could just be better than this thing, depending on what it gets, right? Because if you go for like any of the seed sets, typically like Grassy Seed's like my preferred one. You go like Acrobatics as well. So like you seed, now you get like base 110, like no drawback. Of course, Hawlucha does normally get Brave Bird as well, which is like also kind of cool. And then typically you just like going like close combat and then like protect, right? So you got to run one of these two flying moves, close combat, protect. I think it also gets access to like Roost as well, which is kind of cool. But it also gets access to Swords Dance. And this is what I'm kind of saying about, I think base Hawlucha like legitimately is probably better because with Grassy Seed, like you pair this thing with like Rillaboom, you go like Fake Out SD. And now you're like insanely quick because like base 118 at times 2 is like insane, right? You then have a no drawback Acrobatics and you have close combat. And like, again, I think it's good. But it's going to need a really good ability to justify it over its base form. Like, it is one of those ones where, like, in a vacuum, like, again, you look back at these stats here, Mega Hawlucha, like, this is a good mon, man. But, like, this is also a really good one with Unburden. So, I'm going to just say it's, like, B tier. It's probably, like, going to be, like, to me, again, it's similar to Gator, where it's, like, with a really good ability, this thing can be cracked, but, like, what's that ability going to be? I know people have spoken about stamina. I think if it gets some way to boost its speed, maybe like if there's like a flying type move that boosts speed or something, I'm not entirely too sure, but like it's a good mon. I think the hardest thing for it is comparing it to its base form. All right, my friend Malamar, straight and actually, you know, there should be a Malamar tier. There should be an F tier. They actually screwed this guy so hard, man. Where is he? Malamar down here. Yeah, like, look at this, man. Look at this. 10, nothing, 30. I mean, this is not bad, right? 45, 15, right? How often do you see a Mega Evolution with 2 stats over 100 and one of them's 102? And the other's 120 as well. Like, typically, if there's like a stat, like you look at Dragalge, oh yeah, okay, it's got 3 over, one of them was 163, right? We look at Lucha, he's got 137, he's got a 118. Okay, not too bad, right? You know, you look at Eternal Floette, 155, 148. Mega Malamar, I don't know, dude. My friend Malamar, this thing looks straight booty. Of course, Contrary is cool. I think it keeps Contrary, if I'm being honest. I think the only way this thing is like ever good is if it gets like Mega Contrary and it's like +2 instead of +1. I've seen people talking about things like No Guard Hypnosis and stuff like that. I just don't think this mon's got the sauce. I just think it's bad. Its stats are awful. Its typing's kind of like meh. Yeah, this is the worst Mega in my opinion. It's bad. It's bad. My goat, Mega Meganium. This Pokemon definitely got a big glow up. One of the bigger ones, if I had to say. Meganium is notorious for being the worst starter ever created. And this is not, you know, me being biased. This is a straight fact. There is no starter ever worse than Meganium. But Mega Meganium, he's kind of fire. He gets the fairy typing here, which is kind of pog, right? You look at its stats, it does get that +10 attack, kind of bad. You don't want to see that. But +15 defense, +15 special defense. So 80, 115, 115. This thing's a beast. It still keeps that base 180, that base 80 speed as well, which is solid, right? On you know, some of these, like again, go back to the Chandelure kind of stuff, right? That base 80 to 90 speed tier, it's not bad. You don't need that much investment to be like a good hybrid tail room one, right? But that 143 special attack, +60. They said, Meganium, here, you need something, my guy. Grass Fairy is also something like we've never seen before. So I don't want to say never seen before. We have seen some Grass Fairy types, but the only offensive Grass Fairy we have ever seen was Tapu Bulu, and Homeboy doesn't even get play rough. And he's also just completely outclassed by Tapu Boom. So, yeah, Mega Meganium could come in and be the best offensive grass fairy we have ever seen. 143 is really cool. I will say they didn't give it Moonblast from what we've seen. They've only given it Dazzling Gleam, which does kind of suck. It also doesn't have access to either Nasty Plot or Carmine, which again kind of sucks. But I think this mon ends up being really ability based. In terms of stats and being that it is just a fairy type, I do think it's going to be A tier. I think it really comes down to what they do with its ability on whether or not it's better than Floette. And like, honestly, Floette might end up just being like a legendary anyway, so like it might not be available in most meta games. But I think it's an A tier. This thing's really bulky. It hits quite hard. I think if they just give it some way to buff its special attack stat, it's probably going to be pretty good. All right, so Mega Pyroar. I've been on record countless times saying that Pyroar is the mon we need. This is the answer to Floodamane, the normal fire type. It resists the Moonblast, and it's immune to the Ghost move. Unfortunately, they just gave it plus 20 to every stat. They kind of screwed this guy over, I think, because, like, again, like, I like the defense buffs, don't get me wrong. Like, going to 92, 86 is kind of cool, but why'd they give it attack? Like, if that just went to, like, 139, 136, I think this mod could have been cashed. Like, 136 was so easy. I mentioned Floodamane. It's base 135. Make this thing base 136, and its niche is literally anytime Floodamane is good, this is your answer. They have to run Speed Booster, and even then, if they don't, you resist it or you're immune to it. Yeah, I think this thing got kind of, I think it got kind of screwed. I'm just going to tell you, it's C tier. I think it's one of the worst megas. It doesn't have that much going for it. Like, with fire normal coverage, you can't, like, hit, like, you know, there are certain types you can't really hit. Like, rock type is, like, the first thing that comes to mind. It's, like, not that crazy, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, like, Pyroar, do you get, like, I'm pretty sure, like, you get, like, maybe in this game it could be good, because you get, like, Hyper Voice, Heat Wave, and I think you get Plot as well, Nasty. Oh, you don't even get Plot, okay, don't worry. If this thing got Plot, maybe it would be okay, but nah, I think it's just bad. Mega Scolipede, probably the most interesting mon on this list. I don't know if I said that earlier about another mon. This mon got some crazy stuff to it. So if we have a look here, right, Mega Scolipede, gets plus 40 attack. Very good, right? I believe that's plus 60 defense. Very good. Plus 20 special attack. Why? Plus 30 special defense. Really good. And you probably just noticed with those numbers, that's plus 150 stats. How's that happen? Megas only get plus 100. It's because Scolipede lost 50 speed. This thing went from 112 to 62. And it's like, why? But, like, the thing is, though, does it matter is, like, the big question? Because, like, if we have a look at Scolipede, this thing's got speed boost. This thing's got Swords Dance, right? And it goes insanely bulky, right? It's like base 62 speed. I think this is, like, really important to look at. We're going to be scrolling for a little bit here. Base 62. Do we have any? Is there actually a mon that's base 62? I think I saw one, yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, Fletchling. That's right. All right, so we got Steenie here. We got Steenie here, right? This thing at max speed, right, hits 114, yeah? So if we do a little quick math, what's that going to be? It's like 57 plus onto that, so that's that 100 and, like, what's that? I think it's either 161 or 171. It might be 100. Yeah, no, it's 171 that would hit. So 171 is actually not bad at plus 1 speed. So, like, there is a world where this thing goes like SD into Protect, gets plus 2, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, like, now, like, because if you can play around getting this thing to plus 2, then you only need something like this, right? Like 140 investment into the speed, like, not bad. And that allows you to go like adamant, stuff like that. But then your issue is, like, your dual stabs are kind of bad. Like, there's a lot of types Poison Bug just don't hit. I do know it did just get U-turn, like, that was, like, kind of revealed. Chances are, though, you probably want the Poison Stab more than the Bug Stab. So it's like, you know, you're probably going, oh, actually, it just got Gunk Shot too. Like, obviously these moves aren't showing there, but it actually did just get Gunk Shot, which is really good. So, like, you probably want something like Gunk Shot plus, like, Earthquake, just so you can hit the stuff you couldn't hit with Gunk Shot. And so, like, a set like this is, like, probably, like, half decent, but it all comes down to what the ability is. Like, you can't take 50 out of its speed and not give this thing a broken ability, right? But then again, Speed Boost is, like, such a broken base ability that it's like, you know, you get the speed boost, like, you, like, say again, you lead it with an Amoonguss, you lead it with an Instant, whatever the hell you want, right? You redirection, fake out, whatever it might be. You do your button, you click the Swords Dance, and then all of a sudden, you're just this incredibly bulky mon that is plus 2. It has 140 attack, which is absurd. Like, this mon is, it could be so good, it could be so bad. I'm just going to put it in the B tier. Like, I don't know. Like, I think the ability is what's going to decide this. Like, Again, it has the potential to be insane. But, I mean, like, what ability does it get? Like, I don't know. Does it get, like, Mega Ultra Speed Boost and you get +2 instead of +1? Like, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. So, Scrafty is another very interesting Mega, right? So, if we have a look at the stats here again, +40 into the attack, very good. It means its close combats and knockoffs are going to be very strong. +20 into each of its defenses, meaning this thing is going to be very, very bulky. And +10 into speed, which, again, very solid. Because now, all of a sudden, this thing does outspeed Incineroar after a Mega, right? Which is good, right? And again, obviously, some Incins, depending on the metagame, they like to invest in speed, but just having that, like, naturally higher, little bit, like, more speed, I think is very good, right? And again, when you look at a mon like this, 65 HP, you kind of want to dump there. Chances are you probably want to play Adamant. You're going to just, like, make sure you hit your defensive calcs and then you're just going to pump into it, right? Very, very good. But Scrafty also just got a really cool new move for its set, right? Scrafty. Right, so Scrafty, if we have a look here, right, you know, typically you're going to see things like close combat, you're going to see something like knockoff, and you're going to see something like fake out, right? Typically in VGC. Protect's always an option. On these mons, sometimes you don't, like, see the Protect just because it's meant to be, like, more of a support. But it actually just got access to Parting Shot, which it didn't have before, which means something like this on regular Scrafty could actually be really sick. Like, I think this is a huge buff to base Scrafty. Which is, like, again, really, really cool. But also Parting Shot is just, like, such a sick move for it to get. But I also would expect to see something like Bulk Up. I think, like, some, like, Bulk Up Drain Punch stuff is going to be, like, pretty solid on as well. This mon's, like, super bulky. But again, I think it comes down to its ability to how good it's going to be. Of course, base form having Intimidate is, like, really good. It's kind of like Mega Mence, where, like, if you have this really good ability in base and then you can change it up in Mega, it always just gets better. But I think I'm just gonna go B tier. I think it's good. I think it's better than what's below it. But I don't see this mon breaking the game. Like, maybe there's some world where, like, Dragon Dance Scrafty, like, is actually cracked, but, like, I don't really see it. Mega Skarm, definitely one of the other major glow-ups of this game. Also one of my favorite designs as well. God, I keep scrolling down too far. Where is Skarm? Where is Skarm? There he is. I wish I did this in order, but, like, it ruined my photos. So as we see here, Mega Skarm gets some really interesting stat buffs here, right? So +60 to attack, it loses 30 in defense, but gains 30 into the special defense and 40 into the speed. 110 speed is really solid, especially on a mon with these defensive stats, right? 65, 110, 100 is pretty solid. Again, this is a mon that typically probably wants to run a lot of HP just because its HP stat is so low. But again, I can see a world where it doesn't need it, especially with 140 attack. And, like, one of the cool things with Skarmory is, like, it gets a lot, man. Sturdy in its base form's really cool. I was even talking to the boys as well, saying, like, is there, like, some world where you can, like, abuse weak armor in base form, where it's like maybe you go like weak armor Swords Dance and you can like set up a position where, like, I don't know, you like ice shard yourself or something and you Swords Dance and then you Mega, and then all of a sudden like your +2 base 140 attack going crazy. You also get access to Brave Bird, which is really cool. I actually don't know I know it gets Iron Head. Do you get like any other good like steel coverage? Like, not really, yeah. Like, not really. It also gets Iron Defense Body Press, which is, like, probably less good. But it also gets access to, like, Roost as well. I think it's a Tailwind setter. Like, yeah, I could see a world where, like, Mega Skarm could actually be kind of crazy, right? Because, like, you could even, like, see something like this where you get, like, Brave Bird. And then, like, what other physical stuff do you get? Because I feel like Steel Flying feels kind of bad. But, like, you also want something there to, like, probably hit Steel types. Like, maybe, like, Drill Run or, like, Body Press isn't actually that bad, but like it's not amazing. Like I feel like Drill Run's probably actually the answer. You just need a way to hit steel types. That's like the main thing I can think of. Like Steel and Rock. Is there anything else that resists? Electric as well, which yeah, no, I think like something like this, like ground flying coverage, actually kind of crazy. It's like Land or Asterian kind of, but yeah, no, I think like a set like this could be really good. Again, I think its issue is it's kind of in a weird speed stat. Its ability like depends on, I kind of like dictates how good I think it will be. One of the things I've seen people throw around online is Good as Gold. And if it gets Good as Gold, I think this one's gonna be like crazy. Good as Gold is like a broken ability. But I think this is probably gonna be high B tier. Potentially A tier as well. But again, I think it'll be ability dependent. It'll be metagame dependent. So I feel pretty happy about B tier. All right, Mega Starmie. I don't know if you guys have seen the shenanigans with this one. People think we know what the ability is. And we'll kind of get into that in a second here. So. Mega Starmie, you remember when we were saying like a Mega should have like over 100 in every stat? Well, this guy got it in 05. he gains plus 75 into the attack stat, 20 into the defense, 30 into the special attack, 20 into the special defense, and then 5 into the speed. Now, the big thing here everyone sees right away is this 65 here into this attack stat. It's absurd. A lot of people think the reason why it gets 60 into its attack stat is because its ability is going to be huge power or pure power. And why, you might ask, and the reason for that is in the Datamine, it was also found that both Mega Mawile and Mega Medicham got plus 40 to their attack stat to compensate for the fact that there are no abilities in this game. So the idea is this thing would have base 100, right? Now, the cool thing with base 100 is can we find a mon with base 100 real quick? Attack. Base 100 attack is actually not that bad. We'll just use Regidrago here because why not, right? So if this thing does get huge power, 100 attack can become very, very high, as you guys can see here. I believe that's, what would that be? 334, which is absurd, right? That is kind of crazy. It also just got Flip Turn and Liquidation added to its move pool. I think it also got Aqua Jet as well, which is kind of cracked. And Zen Headbutt, yeah, sorry. And Bulk Up too. They gave it everything, man. They gave it everything. So that is like a really good like attack stat to hit. But then like it also still hits 130 special attack. Like 130 special attack is like not like... I was going to say we'll just use Miraidon, but I want to use like an actual mon. Where's like 130 here? I mean, dude, that's the same attack stat as like Terrapagos, right? Which is, again, not bad at all. Like, you can play this thing probably like modest, and you're gonna like, yeah, you still hit like really good numbers, like with modest as well. What's that? Yeah, 200 on the dot, which is kind of nice. Starmie. Do you get Nasty Plot? Surely you get Nasty Plot. Nasty. It doesn't get Nasty Plot. Damn. Do you get Carmine? Damn. Okay. I feel like it should have either gotten either of those. But yeah, I think this mon is kind of cracked. Like it has a lot. I think this is an A tier mon. It's probably better. Like if I had to guess, it's probably gonna be like here. Like huge power Mega Starmie actually could go absolutely absurd, especially with like Flip Turn, Liquidation, Jet, Zen Headbutt, Bulk Up. Like, come on now, dude. Like Flip Turn on base 120 speed with huge power is kind of absurd damage. Like I think that's gonna be crazy. The final normal mon we have here is Victreebel. Shout out my guy Victreebel. I think he kind of got screwed a little bit here. Plus 20 attack, 20 defense, 35 speed, 25, sorry, special attack. I always get these two mixed up. 15 speed def, and then no speed at all. Again, this thing's going to be ability dependent. I think Chlorophyll as a base ability is honestly not too bad. Like, because there's like a world where you run this thing like double stab, protect plus sleep powder, and then you still pair it with sun, and it's like maybe okay. But again, I think it suffers from being a mixed attacker. I think if that 20 attack went into special attack or into speed, it would have been a lot better than it is. Essentially, like my issue when I look at Mega Victreebel is unless this thing has a cracked ability, it is just worse Venusaur. And because of that, I'm going to say it's C tier. It's all ability dependent for me. Venusaur's in ZA, we know that. I don't see a world where like the Gen 1 starters aren't going to be in the same metagame as it. So because of that, I think it is, yeah, it's probably C tier. Probably maybe like this. Something, actually, it's probably worse than Pyroar, let's be real. And finally, guys, we have Zygarde, the last Mega on this list. I'm going to be straight up with you. It's by far the best Mega on this list. You do have to add in the context that, of course, this is a restricted, so it won't be available in all the metagames. But if you guys didn't see, Zygarde got some cool buffs, right? It got, where are you? Down near the bottom somewhere. Here he is here. He has got 120 points added to its special attack stat. It now has 216 special attack, which, I don't know if you guys know this, but that would make it the strongest special attacker of all time by quite a bit. It also got a buff as well to its, where is it? Here somewhere. No, which one of you moves? Yeah, here it is. It also got a buff. Oh, did they remove it? Oh, no, it's here. Yeah, it's here. To its signature move, Core Enforcer, which a lot of people didn't realize this, but Zygarde had two signature moves. It had 1,000 Arrows and it had Core Enforcer. I guess no one played Core Enforcer because they all just played the other set, which is like the coil stuff. But yeah, Core Enforcer, it nullifies the foe's ability. If the foe moves first, it's 100 base power and it's a spread move. Well, it's now been changed to the user attacks by unleashing a powerful light that defies all laws of nature, striking even fairy types and ignoring any stat changes affecting its target. Yeah, so it is basically a dragon move that is 100 base power, it's spread, and it hits fairies, which is kind of absurd. Now, I will say, I actually did do a calc, and apparently Modest, this attack, still doesn't do 50% to like no investment Xerneas, which is like kind of sad. But I still think it has the potential to be really good. Do you get like plot or anything? Do you get Carmine? Probably not, right? Yeah. I think if it had a way to buff its special attack stat, it would be absurd, because like realistically, we can't even like look at how crazy this is, at least on Showdown. I'd have to like open something else up, but like For example, if it got like Nasty Plot, which again, I don't think they're going to give it to it, but like that's a stupid attack stat. Like if this, like, again, I forget the exact number, but that thing would probably be pushing 300 special attack, which is like beyond crazy. Obviously by far the best Mega on this list. It all comes down to like when it's available and whether or not it's even viable and competitive. One thing I will say that worth mentioning, it did actually only get a 70 buff to its stats. I would not be surprised if that changed come Champions. Just because I think they want to keep this consistent. I think this is probably just something to do with ZA, if I had to be honest. But yeah, anyway, guys, I think that is my list. If I had to like move things around here, like maybe like this seems okay. I'm torn between these guys. Probably, yeah, you're probably like still there, Froslass. Like, I don't know. Falinks feels kind of weird. Like maybe that's like my final tier list. I think that looks good, honestly. Main thing here though, guys, is like at the time of recording this, by the time this thing goes up, we're actually only going to be like 25 hours away from me actually playing this game, which is kind of absurd. But yeah, I guess if you guys made it to the end of the tier list, thank you. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think. I hope I didn't spoil anything for you. I feel like I did give enough spoiler warnings at the start there. But yeah, I guess let me know what you think. What do you guys think about the Datamine? Which of these Pokemon do you think will be the best? As I said at the start, obviously I'm a VGC player. When I was doing these rankings, I was mainly thinking with VGC in mind, but of course, every format is valid, and I'm honestly just excited to see how things go. But of course, guys, if you got to the end of the video, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're on the road to 10k subs, and I mean, look, if you're interested in competitive Legends ZA battles, make sure you stick around because that is essentially what I'm going to be focusing on for the next couple of months, I think. So yeah, anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this one. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.